Povoleto restaurant makes a very nice first impression for us, being right on the Grand Canal, watching the boat traffic go by. Very friendly spot, good food, reasonable prices, and just a few blocks from our hotel. Typical of Venetian restaurants, they have a wide menu, including polenta with black squid ink. This is a real specialty of Venice, and you might not think it's going to taste very good being so black, but give it a try. It's always nice to try the local specialties when you're eating out. Of course, fresh pasta with fish is typical of the dishes that you'll get in Venice, or salads, or a whole wide range of choices. So we are soon going to be on our way on our first tour of Venice. After lunch, we head back to our hotel and gather together for a walking tour with Daniela. We brought you on walking tours with Daniela many times previously in our tours to Venice. Today, we're just going to show you a few highlights, starting out in the lounge and heading out into the little lanes and across the Grand Canal. And now we have arrived at this little Shangri-La. It's the Campo San Giacomo. The Church of San Giacomo dell'Orio is one of the oldest in Venice, originally built in the 9th century. You might continue your walk heading south along Calle Tentor, and this is in the direction of Campo San Polo and heading down towards the Church of the Frari.
So we leave the area, the district of San Paolo, and we reach the district of San Marco.
And now here's a novelty, most unusual way to travel. We're going across the Grand Canal in a traghetto. It's like a gondola, but a little bit bigger. It's basically a ferry for a short ride. It just costs 50 euro cents. That's about 65 cents to cross the Grand Canal in this traghetto. You can do it sitting or standing. The traghetto is a very convenient way to cross the canal because there are only 3 bridges across the canal. There's one by the train station, and there's one near here at the Rialto, and one over by the Accademia Art Museum. So if you're any place else along the Grand Canal and you want to get across, it's probably going to be worth your while to get in the traghetto. There's about 7 of these traghetto crossing stations. It's quick and fun. We're approaching now a little staircase. It's called the Scala Contarini del Bovolo, which we call the Snail Staircase. And we continue our walk, observing the ever-present boat traffic and the gondolas out in the canals. The most important place in town is the Piazza San Marco, the outdoor living room with the ancient Basilica, the Basilica San Marco, consecrated in the year 1094, which makes it one of the oldest functioning buildings in Europe. This church is Europe's most authentic surviving example of the Byzantine style, with 5 domes hovering over a Greek cross floor plan and an interior covered by the world's largest collection of mosaics. It's the area of a football field. Imagine it covered with millions of little colored contact lenses. One of the unique shopping experiences is to visit a glass factory. There are several right near Piazza San Marco where you can see a demonstration of glass blowing and find out how they actually make the vases, pitchers, and wine glasses that you see everywhere. The glass master will put on a show of blowing life into a piece of molten glass, twirling it in the furnace and giving it form. Probably the main thing to buy in Venice, aside from the obvious postcards and t-shirts, is glass. And you will find all kinds of glass goods throughout town. Rather than just buying from any old shop, be careful to find quality items. Some of it, of course, is brought in from China, but much of it is made by hand right here in Venice and the nearby islands. The glass merchants ship everything home for you, so don't worry about packing, carrying, and breaking these precious items. And then you can browse in the endless showrooms and be entertained by quite an effective sales presentation by these very professional Glassmen, one of the good shops for glass, the Vecchio Murano. It's at the end of Calle Largo San Marco. Time for an ice cream break. Oh, that really hits the spot. Give us some added energy boost to help us along the way so that we don't want to just head right back to the hotel, but we're ready for some more adventures and some little side trips. Continue walking west. You'll also pass the Campo di Ghetto Nuovo, which is the main square of this part of town, and it's surrounded by 6-story buildings, very tall for Venice. Now we're in the central section of Venice. We're going to take you on a back route that's not often walked by tourists. It's a lovely and enchanting route through these narrow alleyways, passing little shops and restaurants here and there, the old decaying and crumbling buildings, a little bit of graffiti here and there, beautiful brick structures. Yeah, it really is enjoyable to wander on these little side lanes as we continue our little walk. Distances are not very far in Venice. You really can walk from one end of town to the other in a couple of hours, depending on how lost you might get. Pick up your Venetian masks, postcards, t-shirts. And this time, instead of me leading the walking tour, our travelers are leading the route. Yes, through these twisted little alleyways, it's not that hard. You just follow the signs, follow the crowd, have a look at your map, and you can do it. Anybody can navigate in Venice. So how was that? No problem?
No problem. Just following the yellow signs.
The yellow brick road. We get to the Rialto, starting out with the fish market. These are fresh catch just brought in that morning by the local fishermen. And we continue on into the Rialto market. The Rialto is one of the liveliest neighborhoods in the morning, especially because it is the main outdoor fruit and vegetable market, and it's always packed with locals picking up that day's fresh produce. Your eyes and ears will be delighted with the most wonderful sights and sounds, and your taste buds will love the fresh fruits that you can pick up here for a snack later in the day. And then just beyond the market itself, you find the Rialto Bridge and some other historic sites. And there's a lot of action here. We're right in the center of town. There's shops and there's people offloading their barges. You see the muscle power that makes Venice run. People have to move things by hand and by hand truck to get things around here. Next, walk from the Rialto along a local shopping street in the direction of Campo San Polo. There's all kinds of stores in Venice. It's like one big shopping mall. And this particular neighborhood is very good for shopping because it's off the beaten track. We're going from the Rialto to the Frari. And as we walk along, we always have a chance to peek in the windows, do a little bit of window shopping, especially when you come to one of the many shops that are selling the masks. Makes a great souvenir or present for somebody back home, maybe. Walking tour continues through a little tunnel heading towards the Accademia. It's a pleasant stroll along several canals and campi, quite far from the tourist center. Entering a typical local campo. This is Campo Santa Margherita. A large, fascinating square, always busy with local folks out shopping or just sitting around under the shade trees, passing the time of day. This square is truly one of the delights of Venice, so pause here for a while and soak up the atmosphere. They don't have any soccer fields as such in Venice. It's only these courtyards. This is another one of those half a dozen major plazas where the locals gather. And we continue walking. This time we're heading a little bit more off the beaten track. Heading south, you'll come across a picturesque floating vegetable market. It's on a boat tied up along the sidewalk, or the fondamenta, as paths along the canal are called here. Well, keep going, follow the crowds or signs pointing towards Accademia, just a few blocks ahead. We took a break on the terrace of the Greedy Palace, overlooking the Grand Canal.
Cheers, Ruthie.
Cheers. Okay, where's yours? No more. It's a terrific place for a Bellini. Sit back, have some fun, and watch the boats go by. It's very expensive to spend the night at that hotel, but the drinks are reasonable. Ooh, how is that?
Very good. Cheers.
The best drink in the world. Can't do better than this. Ching ching.
Bellini.
Bellini Junior.
Okay. Another great spot for a Bellini is the Hotel Danieli, and great snacks to go with it too. You can actually make a meal out of this. Danieli's Bellini was a little thicker, but they're both so good, you can't say one is the best. And the setting is superb. You're in the lobby of this former palace of a doge, converted into one of the most deluxe 5-star hotels in Venice, the Danieli. And it's open to the public. They welcome you to come on in, sit down, and have a drink. It's not cheap. The Bellini will cost you about $20, or you could try it at Harry's Bar. We're going for the Grand Slam and comparing the Bellini at the 3 top places in town. And, well, what can I say? They were all great. And friendly folks here at Harry's Bar Kitchen.